Hello and welcome to the weekly update for Prayer at the Heart, the Million Soul Campaign. My name is John Whaley and I serve as Chief of Staff for Prayer at the Heart. And we are in an exciting season. Last week on Easter Sunday, we kicked off the 50 days of prayer. And we're hearing some amazing reports from churches as they are beginning to take their people through the 50 days of prayer and focusing on how they can mobilize them to reach people with the gospel during these 50 days. The word is getting out, by the way, about this movement. Dr. Small has been invited to appear on numerous radio programs and podcasts to share about the Million Soul Campaign. So I'm expecting to see more and more people jump on board and say, hey, I want to become one of the million, to reach 1 in a million with the gospel of Jesus Christ. As I'm recording this, I am in San Diego, where I will be speaking this week at the Awake America Summit about the Million Soul Campaign and having conversations with ministry leaders and prayer leaders from across the United States. Last week, I was in Los Angeles as part of the Azusa 120 celebration. And so last Tuesday night at the Azusa Street Prayer Tower, I had the opportunity again to share with leaders from across the nation and the nations about the Million Soul Campaign. And they were so excited to hear about it and to find out how they could be a part of helping us engage 1 million people with the gospel in the next 50 days. So the word is getting out. So keep praying for open doors and keep praising God for the open doors that He is continually opening for us. I also want to give you a spotlight today on some of our partners. We have some incredible strategic partners who have come alongside us to be a part of the Million Soul Campaign. One of those, by the way, is Sight and Sound Studios, who has just released A Great Awakening. If you have not seen this movie, you need to take time this week and go to the theater. It came out Easter weekend and did extremely well. $2 million in 1,289 theaters, which is quite significant when you consider how many theaters most major movies are released to. We were released at Sight and Sound was released only to less than 1,300. $2 million, number 6 in the box office. Powerful movie about the First Great Awakening and the unique relationship that George Whitefield had with Benjamin Franklin. It's also a great conversation piece. As we're talking to people about awakening, we can encourage them to go see the movie. If they've seen the movie, we can talk about the movie and what God did in that First Great Awakening and how we're praying for God to do it again here, now. And that's why we're mobilizing 1 million to pray for 1 million. It's not just about the million. Remember, the million is the first domino piece. It's the first domino piece. As we are praying for God to move across this nation in the next several years to see 35 to 50 million people swept into the kingdom, which would lead us into spiritual awakening territory, which would also spark a global awakening, because it wouldn't just stay within our borders, because we have so many people from all over the world that live within our borders. It would spark a global awakening. So go see this movie. It will inspire you. It will make you laugh. It will make you cry. I've seen it 3 times, and it is amazing. And one of our partners, One Cry, has created an incredible study called A Great Awakening Experience, a 6-week study on spiritual awakening. So I encourage you to go to onecry.com, get a copy of this study, get your small group together, and walk through it. It's a powerful study on spiritual awakening. And then I also want to give you a resource from one of our partners, the Hollywood Prayer Network. If you're looking for some additional resources to help you understand how you can share the gospel with people you know that do not yet know Jesus, I want to highly encourage you to purchase How to Talk About Jesus Without Freaking Out. This is an amazing book written by Jim and Karen Cavell, the founders of the Hollywood Prayer Network, which gives you some very practical and effective ways to talk about your story, to listen attentively to their story, and then share God's story. So I encourage you, go out today, get a copy of this book. It's an amazing tool. I just took a Gen Z through this study over the past several months, and man, he loved it because it was so practical, and he knew it was something he could use in his everyday life. And then I also want to highlight Awaken the Dawn. Awaken the Dawn is one of our ministry partners. And one of the things that they did last year, if you remember, they went to Washington, D.C., and they hosted Communion America, where thousands upon thousands upon thousands gathered on the National Mall. There was a communion table, the length of the mall, and they had prayer tents set up doing 24/7 prayer from all 50 states, even had one from Israel. And then they ended these 3 days of worship and prayer by having people come to the table across America and celebrate and remember what Jesus did for us on the cross. With this year, they're inviting people to do this in their cities. Instead of everybody going to Washington, D.C., they're saying, hey, why don't you do this in your city, on your campus? Invite people to come to the table, have a prayer tent, have 24/7 prayer, have 3 days of worship, ending with communion. And so on May 28th through 30th, which is right after Pentecost Sunday, they are doing a Communion America Summit in Charlotte. And we want to encourage you to be a part of that. You can go to Awaken the Dawn to their website and learn more about how you can sign up for the summit and begin learning how you can be a part of Come to the Table in September, which is going to be a part of our overall strategy for Project 2026 as we're continuing to call people to know Jesus Christ and calling the church to mobilize to reach their cities with the gospel of Jesus Christ. As I said, these are exciting days, and God is doing some amazing things. So I just want to encourage you a few things. First of all, I want to encourage you to check out the resources. Continue going to our website at prayerattheheart.org and check out the resources, because we are continually adding things to the website. Especially want to encourage you, if you have not purchased or downloaded the prayer guide yet, you need to get the prayer guide. We're already 8 days in, but it's not too late to get started. Get your prayer guide, download it. You can purchase copies online. Just get a hold of the prayer guide and begin using it. Some incredible resources. And one of the things we're doing during this 50 days that we want you to help us with is tally the numbers. As we're hearing reports about what God is doing in churches and in movements across the nation during these 50 days, we are wanting to keep track of how many people are coming to Christ, how many people are being baptized. We've had reports since Easter Sunday of churches experiencing over 200 being baptized. One church had 52 on Easter Sunday say yes to Jesus. One church had 2. Another church had 12. Unite US just had their event at Sanford University. We haven't heard those numbers yet. But all of these numbers that are happening is a part of the Million Soul campaign, as we're praying for God to bring in 1 million. It's not just 1 million through what we're doing, but 1 million through what everybody else is doing as well. This is a collaborative effort of the body of Christ. So as you hear stories about what's happening in churches and different movements, please let us know. Don't assume that we've heard about it. So how do you do that? Well, right now, the best way to do that is simply reach out to me. I'm going to put my email address up here on the screen, John.Whaley at the prayerattheheart.org. And if you just shoot me an email and say, hey, John, I just heard a report about a church in our city. They had a revival meeting and had 50 people come to Christ. Whatever you hear, send that to me. Once again, it's John.Whaley at prayerattheheart.org. We'd love to hear those numbers. So help us begin to tally by sharing these reports with us. And a few other things just to share as well. Some people are saying, well, this has already started. Is it too late to jump on board? It's never too late to jump on board. It's never too late to get started. I had a pastor reach out to me after Easter Sunday, and he said, we didn't launch on Easter Sunday like we had hoped, and so we're kind of behind the 8 ball. Is it too late? And I said, no, you can start on the 12th and just continue calling your people to prayer. And so he began thinking about what he could do. What he did on Wednesday night after Easter, they have an incredible prayer meeting at their church. So they met for prayer. and they went through the first 4 days of the prayer guide and used that as their prayer guide for the Wednesday night prayer meeting. And then everybody began praying together from that point on. And so it's never too late to dive in. It's never too late to get started. During these 50 days, we are mobilizing Christians constantly and churches constantly to be a part of this campaign. So again, I want to encourage you, continue praying for us, praying for Dr. Small, checking out the resources, letting us know numbers as you're hearing stories about how many people are coming to know Christ at different events, how many people are getting baptized at different events, and together continue praying with expectation, continue praying with anticipation of what God will do during these 50 days and beyond these 50 days. Again, let me emphasize, this doesn't end at the end of the 50 days. This is just the beginning. As soon as we get past the 50 days, we begin going into extra innings, as Dr. Small would say. And we're going to be looking at July 4th, calling for national prayer gatherings in states and cities on July 4th that weekend. And so you'll be hearing more and more about that. You're going to be hearing more in the next, probably the next week or so, about the 10 days leading up to Pentecost Sunday. We're calling that Come Home. And you're going to be hearing more about that as we're inviting people on Pentecost Sunday to come home and be a part of what God is doing in the local church community. And we are expecting that Pentecost Sunday is going to be one of the greatest harvest events in the history of the church in America, as we are calling on pastors and churches to make that the focal point. Harvest Sunday, Pentecost Sunday, calling people home and calling people to Christ. So thank you for your time today. And we look forward to seeing what God has in store for us the next week. Pray for Dr. Small as he's doing all of these radio shows, and continue praying for the million to be mobilized as we come to see 1 million come to know Christ in these days. God bless, and thank you.